Good morning, and welcome to Mahala Monday. Absolutely fantastic to have you along with us. My name is Dougal, and as always, here's a day, everybody.
Good morning and welcome everybody to our Mahala Monday. And it was a nice cool morning this morning compared to yesterday's heat. So I'm enjoying today this. It's very nice.
Yeah,
cool.
So it is, and it's nice and cool for now, but things are about to get quite hot.
Most definitely do. I was looking forward to the show today because I thought to myself, thank goodness it's cool today because this is going to be a very hot show.
No, most certainly is. And we're looking forward to it. And let's touch on it because let me just remind you straight away, we invite you to be part of the show, of course, so you'll see the details at the bottom of your screen. At Nickay Productions, we look forward to your questions and comments, and we're going to tell you exactly now what this is all about because we're still within the month of love. So let me just preface it this way. We're still in the month of love, last day of it.
Okay.
Yeah. Tomorrow we're looking at March. So what is there what we love? We love lots of things. And one thing that definitely stands out in particular for us is there's one friendship we really value, and somebody that's absolutely amazing. But not just us, everybody who has seen this amazing individual do her thing. So we are joined today from Mel Jones is going to be joining us today, which is going to be brilliant. And we're going to talk to her about being a stand-up comedian, an artist, entertainer, of course, and everything that is exciting. So we're really looking forward to talking to her. So once again, maybe you've got a question for her. At Nickay Productions, you just send those questions through, so we'll be talking to her. You're looking forward to talking to Mel, right?
I'm definitely looking forward to chatting to Mel. You know, Dougal, for me, there's always been a variety of people who've had on the show, from your accountants to lawyers to, we had our chartered accountants on. And you know what? I place Mel amongst all of these people, definitely on top of our food chain, because this is an important part of our lives. Because if we don't have somebody like Mel in our lives, imagine how boring life would be. It would be so boring. You know, she just lightens up and just makes everything so perfect. She just puts a cherry on top.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, we got to indemnify it. Like I've worked with Mel for many years. We've traveled and performed on different platforms and everywhere. So there is a bit of a bias. So we're very good friends, but there are very few people who is, well, you're going to experience all of that. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, today, what a show we got in store for you. Joining us on the 28th of February, Mahala Monday. Put your heads together. Mel Jones, good morning. How are you doing?
Where's Mel's sound?
Now imagine you do that intro and you give me that wonderful introduction and then I'm boring. Imagine that.
Not even if you try.
No, you must set the expectations low. Boom and boom. Now she's going to be so fabulous. Now I want to talk about I've got this book. I've been reading, guys, and I want to tell you about the financial thing. I want to tell you about fiscal year end. You guys, it's fiscal year end. Don't you know?
What a word.
Fiscal year end of February, beginning of March. Let's talk about that. That's exact. No.
What a word.
Unless you are an accountant.
Exactly.
I'm not about that.
So firstly, let's start about how are you doing? How are you doing?
I am doing good. You know what? People often go, "Ooh, you know?" That comes from my community. I'm not going to be that person. I'm going to be like, I'm having a good day. Wake up is setting that intention and you will have a good day. Sometimes people will come at you and try to ruin that day. And then you will just have to deal with that as it comes. But 9 out of 10 times, if you say you're going to have a good day, you're going to have a good day because you set your intention. So I'm going to have a good day.
I'm going to have a good day.
There we go.
It is also early. It's 10 o'clock. Are you normally awake this time?
I am normally awake this time. I usually go to bed at 11. Nap.
You take a nap. Okay.
The afternoon nap is kicking in.
I have a brunch nap.
So listen, we're gonna talk about this because I know this, but you got to clarify this for the viewers as well. I mean, people will know you obviously from radio. People will know you from your multiple TV appearances, theaters, being a stand-up comedian, an MC, and just an all-around amazing individual. Okay. But how did it all start for Mel Jones? I mean, you've been doing this for a while. Where did it all start? What was that trigger moment as well that said, you know what, I actually want to do this? Did you fall in love with it? along the way? I know
My
there's
mommy
lots of
made me
questions,
do
but
it. My mommy made me do it. My mommy. Don't do something with your life, she said. No. Actually, I was always a bit of a class clown. And so I've spent a lot of time being silly and frivolous. And people say, you can't be frivolous. You know what it's like at school, people.
Yeah.
You can't be like this. You know, you can't be. I was the one who spoke the most in class. And so when I went into work, I went to go and work in retail. I went to go and do marketing at a tertiary institution and all of these. And all throughout all of that, everyone used to say, you're wasting your time doing this. Your place is in entertainment. And I've always known this. I've known this from a very young age. I've known that I wanted to become an entertainer. I just didn't know what aspect. Because when you're a young girl growing up on the Cape Flats, comedy is not even a feature in the back of your mind. It's not something that we are taught is an option. It's not something that we are even given the choice to do. But that's why a lot of men have kind of gone, oh, I really want to be a comedian. But it's not really something that women are sort of exposed to or even told that it's an option. So I knew that I remember when I was very young and I watched this movie and I really felt I came out, I don't even remember what the movie was. Came out of the movie feeling amazing and I just remember feeling this immense joy and I thought, I want to do that with my life. I was probably about 7 or 8 years old. Full circle, when I was older, as I was doing comedy, I was probably a few years into comedy when I realized I'm doing the thing I told myself I wanted to do when I was younger.
Yeah.
So came full circle and without even realizing, that's why I say, guys, when you set the intent, it happens. So, and I didn't even realize that wasn't even a mantra for me at the time, back in the day. So, that's the one aspect of it. The other aspect was that I was always busy entertaining people. I was always, like while we were with my colleagues, we always used to play the fool and be silly and frivolous and playful. That's kind of always been my vibe. And then my mom saw an article in the paper about this workshop, this comedy workshop that was happening in Woodstock. And she said, why don't you go try this? You know, everyone's always telling you how funny you are. And I was like, Mommy, you didn't tell me. But it's just kind of the thing. Like my mom's never been the idol's mom who goes like, oh, you sing so nicely. Go sing on the TV. And then you go sing on the TV and then they're like, that's not really what we were. Anyway, so but she kind of like quietly supported me. So I went to go and try it out. Just watched for 3 weeks. I was a voyeur. Watched for 3 weeks, and then eventually I brought some comedy. Did my 5 minutes in the workshop, and then went straight from there to the Wednesday night. The Sunday night I got my first open mic gig, and I
Wow.
And that is amazing because what a lot of people don't know is, comedy is hard work. Comedy is serious business. Comedy is serious. It is not, yes, it is fun and this is how it's portrayed, but it is a huge amount of hard work. When you started doing it, obviously you'll be doing it for a little bit, then the bug really bites. There's that bit, and I can only say this from personal experience. Yeah, I did it, and it's something I wanted to do, and it went well. But it was while I was doing it, a few months in, when the bug really bit. Did you find that as well?
I think that most of us kind of, not the ones who are cocky, because the cocky ones walk on stage and go like, I can do this. Comedy is easy, and then they fall flat on their bum, and then. I mean, not so easy, is it? But I mean, the ones who kind of take it seriously, the ones who really enjoy it, the ones who are passionate about it, only find that down the line. I think a lot of us just kind of get to a point where we go, hey, hang on, I'm actually good at this.
Exactly.
I can make people laugh consistently. It's not just a fluke. It's not just a once-off. I can consistently make people laugh. And yes, we all have our moments on stage where it doesn't work and we fall on our asses and we look at ourselves and we go, what am I doing? This is because it's a mental thing as much as it's a physically present, I'm going to do this joke thing. There's also all of the preparation that we do in our minds, and we kind of do a self-talk of, okay, so you've got this, you're going to... And then, but I mean, initially, you don't know all of these things. You don't know how much mental preparation goes in. You kind of know your lines. You kind of, okay, so that, and then that. Some of us even write it on our hands. I'm going to do that. That links into that, and then that links into that, and then we've got all that. And don't even forget the thing that links into the next thing. Then your whole thing is ruined. So we kind of have to remember all of those things, but I don't think we realize how much mental preparation goes into it. And so you have to be slightly mad to do that.
I got to tell you this, you say writing lines on paper, and I know you've seen this as well. You walk onto certain stages, and then there's papers taped on the floor. And I can't even begin to describe how many times I did this with my foot and just did that on the paper. Have you done that? It's not my stuff.
I'm a professional. I don't write things on paper.
Mel Jones is with us.
But you know what? I actually look at how long a road it's been, and how I've gone from standing backstage going, you gotta do this, and you gotta do that, and then you kind of go, when you're really good, you got it down to one word, this, and then that, and then that, then mom, and then that, then dog, then cat. So now you go, okay, fine. So that then I don't, and then that's what I'm saying. If you forget the one word, then that leads to the next. There's a whole chain of events that has to happen. So don't forget one word. So you go from that to now you can go on stage and you can improvise. I've improvised entire sets. I went a live gig. Live gigs. We'll get to that, I'm sure.
We're going to get to that,
I
definitely.
did a gig recently where I actually didn't mean to do the gig. It was in my hood. I didn't know they were doing comedy at this place, and I was like, I really want to go check it out. I'm going to sit and I'm going to watch. And then I was sitting at the back of the room, and then the comics, obviously, Google, you know, the comics were like, Mel, jump on! You
2 minutes.
Yeah, but also, man, anyone who knows me knows that I will do like an outfit and heels, and there's a thing, there's a transformation that happens before I go on stage. I've recently embraced the natural curls, so that, but like this, I do like the whole toot with heels and liquor. So I'm sitting at the back of the room wearing sneakers and I know!
That's not you!
And I was like, you mad! The only heels I had on was the heels that was on my t-shirt. It was actually a picture of heels on my t-shirt. And then I was like, no guys, I can't look at me. And they were like, no, you look cool, you look fun. I was like, just want me to go. Anyway, so eventually, not only do they get me to jump on stage, I also have to close the show.
So they didn't close, improv set.
Improvise that entire set. I was just talking to people. I was just having conversations with people. I was like, then I said, like, so foreign, and then this guy says, me, because my surname is Wales. I'm not that. You're not a foreigner.
You're not a foreigner.
Listen, you're talking about improvise. We're going to play a word game, and there's lots we want to talk about. We're going to look at some comments quickly. There's some people watching. We're going to say hi to them as well.
And some questions
as well. We want to talk to you as well, how things were during the COVID time. Maybe somebody sends us a word through. We'll put it through. We'll play a bit of a word game. We'll do all of that. Rhoda's got a whole bunch of comments here.
Very brave of you.
Yeah, Rhoda's got the comments.
Considering you know the words that come out of my mouth.
So we're going to start with some Facebook comments, are we? We're going to look at some of those, and we have got comments. So Ian Miller, thank you very much for saying this. Ian says, a good musician can play the same song 50 times on stage to the same audience, and it will always be brilliant. A comedian, however, cannot tell the same joke 50 times to the same audience, because then it becomes a little bit boring. So, respect to comedians for always having to come up with new material. And Ian, yes, this, you know what?
Thank you, Ian Miller, for making that comment.
I got to be honest with you. This is something we've been faced with many times. Mel, and on that thing, because a lot of people go off the premise, like, you know, a hit song is always a hit song in 2000 And two, it will still be a very, very good song 50 years later. The same with a joke. The variables might change. I believe it works exactly the same way. And it is the artist's responsibility to make it sort of room specific so people can relate to it. But as comics, it is a bit of a criticism, and this is really where the seriousness and the hard work comes in.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to start singing comedy. I think I just like start doing that. But I mean, I think that's the beauty of the growth. You start with a few good jokes, and then you grow, and that little joke that you've had that you started with becomes into turns into a full 5-minute set, and then it turns into a 10-minute set because you're working it. And then sometimes when you have a really good crowd, now there are two types of crowds. Both of them are incredibly beneficial. The really good crowds will allow you to work your material and bounce off of them, and you'll have a good time, and you'll go, ooh, that worked, I'm using that again, and you'll take it home and you'll rework it and you'll put it into your set. The not so good crowds will teach you to have the grit, to have the resilience, to have the wherewithal to get through it. And you will try and find ways to make things work on stage that would never have worked normally. Because it's really difficult to play to an audience that doesn't want comedy.
That is.
Definitely.
With the idea of not telling the same joke 50 times, yes, we can't. Also, this is where the reading the room comes in. You've got to know who your audience is. If you've spoken to the same people, there are people who go to the same place regularly, and a lot of those crowds are like 80% return audiences, and you'll get a few new ones. You can't be doing that stuff there. It's disrespectful.
Exactly.
People are paying to hear you. People are paying to see you. You can't go like, I'm just going to do my same old stuff. You've got to try and figure out how to switch it up. Remember what you've done the last time. Have conversations. This is why I'm so good with the crowd interaction, because I love the crowd interaction. That's never the same.
That is
Never.
never the same.
Yeah.
And the variables change. And
Ian comments here.
And thanks for Ian for saying that. And I mean, ultimately, Ian was paying respect, saying thanks out to comedians for keeping it.
Yes.
Exactly.
I'm back to you, Ian.
Ian.
And then we've got Hubert on YouTube, and Hubert's one of our regulars, as you know. And he's basically...
He was there last time, wasn't he?
Well.
That's right, that's right. And he says, a day without laughter is a day wasted. Mel and Rhoda, we love you. Yeah, okay. You too, Dougal. Yeah.
That's why I said he was like COVID.
And
He
then,
loves the two of you.
What have you done to this man? Why have you busted him so much?
and then Mel, he's actually got a question for you. In actual fact, he's got two for you. So he says, what makes Mel laugh? And what's the most memorable moment in your career so far?
What makes
Mel laugh?
I laugh at the most inappropriate stuff, guys. It's not even funny. Like, I can remember I went to a clinic once with my mom. My mom goes to a clinic regularly. She goes for regular checkups. I went to the clinic, and I sit there and I people watch, and I laugh at the most inappropriate stuff. There was a pastor who came in. He was preaching, big old Bible in his hands, preaching. Then, when he was done, he closed the Bible and went to go get a handful of free condoms. Pastor!
Well done, you.
Amen, Pastor. You take that to the bank. So I laugh at inappropriate things. And I often, you know what, I think it's probably because of the spin that I put on things. And yes, it was a very funny moment. But I like to take moments that aren't necessarily funny and put a funny spin on it, because otherwise life becomes so depressing and so completely intolerable. And take this last 2 years, for example. If you don't find little nuggets of things that bring you joy in and amongst the sadness and the downward spiral and that loop, that constant loop of, when is this gonna end? Oh, here's a new wave, and it's not a fun wave because we're not at the beach. So it was one of those. situations where you kind of have to figure out what brings you joy and find the joy in and amongst the stuff. So if you don't find something and put a spin on it, you've got to do it yourself. Happiness is an inside job. You're going to end up just being in the awful place in your mind.
Yeah.
And then your mind is not a good place to be in an awful space. That needs to be the garden that you tend to. Make it nice and pretty and lovely to live in, and then we'll all be okay.
Exactly.
And what was the most memorable
And then
thing?
memorable. I mean to say memorable. That's right.
I would say the pasta with the condoms.
Did you do a house cover?
I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair to single out one thing because I've had a very, very lucky life, and I know that a lot of people will work as hard and not be in the right place at the right time, because I was very lucky when I started my career. I was the female comedian that was kind of booked to be on everybody's lineup, and I didn't even know it was a thing at the time. I had no idea that being a female comedian was a thing. I discovered later that women aren't supposed to be funny. Well, good thing, because I've changed that perspective. There's not one, there's sort of little bits of memorable things that kind of lead to another. So it goes from when I was starting the comedy and I went straight from workshop into taking that set as my first 5 minutes open mic set, and then there's 6 weeks later I was performing at Spear, at the wine farm, just at a festival, and then a few months later I was touring South Africa with Barry Hilton and Mark Banks and John Smith and Riyad Musa. So this was me, very, very young in my career. So there's all of these springboard moments that were really, really memorable. But the fact, I think, that I could sustain a career for the time that I have, and especially during the pandemic, still being able to do what I love. I think that for me is just highlight upon highlight upon highlights. I'm very lucky to have had so many highlights in my life.
Mel, let me ask you this: Would you? I mean, it's a bit of a serious question, and then we'll talk a lot of nonsense. It is a bit of a serious question. Would you, to youngsters? Because I look at youngsters, and this is just my perception. I go, yeah, do it. You know, the more comics in my mind, the better it is. But I understand the challenges, definitely, that I've went through in the last 2 years with this. I mean, advice for somebody, because you've done it all, and let's be honest, you have done it all. And I'm not saying this just because we know each other very well. You have done it all, and people should really, I mean, when you're in a room, it is something special. When youngsters come to you, I mean, they will go like, Auntie Mel, what do you want to do? And, you know, the youth of today, I mean, you definitely inspiration with them. Would you advise them? And then, having said that, looking at the challenges that the pandemic brought along, because right now as entertainers, it's not easy.
It's been tough,
Yeah. If you love this, really love this, and you're funny, like you've got a funny perspective, you've got a voice that you want to. And let's not get it twisted, because there's a lot of people who feel that they're going to use their voice to send out a message. No. Comedy is about being funny. Be funny first. Attach a message at the end. Your message is your attachment. Your message is not your email. So there's a couple of things that you need. You need to be funny. You need to really, really love this, because there are days that it's not a good space. It's comedy. 2 years have taught us that comedy is not all fun and games. And I mean, before that, we knew comedy is not all fun and games. Sometimes we go to corporates and nobody wants a comedian. But the person who booked you really loves comedy, and that's the only person in the room who loves comedy. So the rest of the people are going, why is this person here talking to us? So then there are days where it's not fun. You've got to really love it, and you've got to really love it enough to stick to it. And you also have to have this something that there's a drive. You have to want to make this work. You have to have a combination of things. Go for it, do it. But you won't know unless you try. And unless you get on a live stage and and you've died and fallen and gotten back up a couple of times, and then you've gone, you know what, I still love this.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Then this is for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But don't get on stage. You kill it 2-3 times. You thinking I'm on top of this world.
No, you're not.
You know, my ego is driving this. And then the first time you don't do so well, you go, "Ooh, this comedy is terrible." No, honey. Comedy treats everybody equally.
Yeah.
It's the one great equalizer. It doesn't care about your
Exactly.
size. It doesn't care about your skin color. It doesn't care how tall or short you are. It doesn't care about your gender. If you're not funny, the audience will let you know.
Most
And it's true,
definitely.
because the one thing that people don't understand, you're exposed. But also,
Yes.
having said that, I mean, you make it in front of them. You bearing your soul. But also,
They
having
wish.
said that,
Come on now, they wish I was making it fun.
Well, now when you come on that stage, believe me, I think a lot of men sees that.
I've got a story.
I look
Remember,
good.
watch that
I look
last show.
sexy.
We watched the last show Mel Jones was on. We got a story with that. But that's cool. Your secret's with me, Mel. Also, having said that, the big thing is we must realize that audiences are on your side. Audiences also want you to succeed. Do you find that as
Yes,
well?
I do.
Oh, yeah.
And you can feel your energy transfer. And
yeah.
that, I think, is the big thing. Is feel your energy transfer.
Yeah.
You can't expect them to bring the energy.
Exactly.
The minute you put that energy and that power in their hands, you've already lost the fight.
Exactly.
You bring the energy, and then it becomes an exchange.
Yeah.
And just
But it has to start with you first.
exactly. And I mean, I found this. I actually went to a comedy evening, the one evening, Mel, and obviously me not being a comedian, I mean, you really have to take. I mean, you guys now to take quite a bit for us to laugh at what you're saying. And I actually went to where a comedian came up. I'm somebody that laughs out very loud. I'm the one person you don't want in front of the room because I will be extremely loud. And I sat through this whole session. He didn't tickle my fancies. He didn't make me once laugh.
That's a him.
That's a he, that's not a she, it was a he. And I'm telling you, I sat and I thought to myself, wow, he must feel so exposed right now because nobody was laughing in that room. Nobody. And it was quite sad because I felt sad for him eventually because it's exactly that case where his mommy probably told him, you know what, you've got this, my boy, you're such a good, go and do it. Yeah, it was one of
Love
those
your
people.
children, don't lie to them. That's
Exactly. Because I mean, for me, you can make one joke, two jokes, okay, it's boring. But if you're a whole
Right.
session for half an hour, he's like,
I can
nobody's
safely say
laughing.
it wasn't you, it wasn't me, because...
No, it wasn't, no. Definitely
Now
not.
let's do this. Let's play a game. I give you a word, you
You
tell
will
us...
be going, oh, I wonder who it was.
Actually, you're going to tell me what air word was.
I'll tell you off air.
I'll send out a tweet. Here's a joke I never tweet. All right. So I'll give you a word. You tell us the first thing that comes into your mind. Yes? You ready?
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Oh.
All right. Here we go. The Tinder swindler.
Listen. Sorry, guys. Listen. The Tinder swindler. Can we just talk about this for a second?
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess Fasin was the first thing that came to mind, but I also just like, he spammed a whole lot of Caucasians because a Tinder swindler would not come to a brown girl and say, oh, give me some money.
Exactly.
The brown girl will say, vir wat? Geld. Ik het skaars geld, ik het skaars brood, toen zit het brood op elkaar te zetten. And then it will go off in a whole different tangent, and that'll be the end of that relationship. Everything, no matter how good it's going. We were on a plane yesterday. Maar mevrouw, mijn nog geld vragen niet. Waar zijn zelf van die pleintje kan uit?
Exactly.
En van die flight, gaat je gewoon verkopen. Nog ganges. Dan zoek geld, koop je Gucci. Zeg dan nou, ik doe nog geld op mijn eetkast. All I'm saying is, I feel for those girls, and he obviously chose the ones that he could groom easily,
Yeah.
because there are two sides to every coin, and some women are very vulnerable, and they want that Disney fairy tale, happily ever after.
Yeah.
But no, once the marriage happens in the happily ever after, then you got some girls at home getting drunk because some bra didn't stick out with his paycheck. So remember, after the happily ever after, there's still some work to do. And all I'm saying is that, no, don't be for sin. Don't be for Cinderella. Because if you give me a fairy tale, you're going to end up being for Cinderella.
Cinderella. There we go.
Yeah, yes or no? If you met the Tinder swindler, would you have given money or go and look for other money?
Firstly, he's short. I don't really...
All right, let's do one more.
Also, if someone puts me on a plane for my first date, red flag.
Yeah, definitely.
Taking me on a plane for my first date.
Yeah.
You're either trying to prove something, you've got a point to prove, and you're showing off immensely. And why? Or you just got too much money. You got
Exactly.
There are other causes in the world that
Exactly.
require your money.
And then one of the questions I wanted to ask you when he said about the enemies is after me. I mean, my enemies. So, I mean, I couldn't
Did he
stop
say that?
laughing. Yeah? Yeah?
My enemies, my enemies, listen guys.
Yeah,
My enemies. $10,000, my enemies are off.
Exactly. Yeah.
Liquor? No, Steve, I sort him out myself. I'm in the plane. You know what? I'm in the plane. You take your enemies, yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, no. My enemies are after me.
Enemies.
You know what? Put your life 8 months.
Let's do one more. Let's do one more. We're gonna wrap. Okay, one more, Mel. One more. Bafana.
Oh, my word. Oh, my word.
No! Pride. Wasn't the first.
That's a naughty one, Dougal. That's naughty. She put mouth.
I think I came to mind.
Mel, where can
That's a
people
good
see
one.
you?
That's a good one.
Where can people see you? How do people get in touch with you? Because, and truly, let's be honest, you're phenomenal. So all the whole of corporate South Africa, and it doesn't matter even like globally. You got to book this woman. You got to check out all the stuff that she does and just get hold of her. Trust me, it is going to be life-changing. It is an experience.
And you've got someone telling you about your fiscal year end.
Exactly.
You want someone to make jokes after that.
Yeah.
Because you don't want the whole room to die. You can contact me on Instagram and on Twitter, Mel Jones Comic. And then on Facebook, Mel Jones. And then I don't want to give my email address out because
that's okay. They'll find you on the website.
If they contact me on social media, then I shall respond accordingly.
Yeah.
And I've got some really cool gigs lined up, live gigs. So check it out on social media. Because live gigs, guys, we've been starved of live gigs. So check it out on social media, and we'll see where we can hang out together.
Yeah.
Almost definitely.
Well, that is absolutely brilliant. So we know that you're going to be at Premium, which is out of Cape Town, on tomorrow, actually. Yes.
Yes. Premium in Cape Town, then a fundraiser on Friday, and then another gig on Saturday.
Busy week?
Yeah. I think it's easier to just see because I post all of my gigs on social media.
There we go.
Tomorrow night is the first one this week at Premium in Mitchell's Plain, if you're feeling brave. Come
Mel
on
Jones is going to
out.
be on stage, man.
Oh, yeah.
People are going to enjoy that, yeah. I'm already jealous of people who's going to be making it, so that's going to be exciting.
There'll be other comedians as well, so...
Okay.
Yeah, that's not just me. It's a lineup of comedians, so... Maybe that bra that was so boring will also be there, then we can...
Ooh, if he is, I'll tell you. I will tell you.
Then we can go, oh, I think I know what was. Something else, just for the Skinner.
Just for the Skinner, just for the Skinner.
Listen, I gotta tell you this, just on a side note. You know when is one of the most memorable nights for me? When another comic, you know, and like especially the ego was like you said, when they're falling on their face. And I know they're falling on their face, they know they're falling on their face. And together they know I know and they know we know and nobody says anything. That is like some of the funniest stuff I've seen.
There was one comic I can remember once we did also at another festival vibes. And he was telling the MC, this is how I want you to introduce me. This is my achievements. This is my accomplishment. That's what I want you to say. The rest of us were like, just say whatever. I don't care. He gets introduced. He walks on stage. Cricket.
Exactly.
Like, you better take your accomplishments and and go and have that warm you up when you get home tonight because it's a cold drive home.
Cold drive home.
It happens. It happens. Now, of course, you know what? We kind of still in the pandemic. We kind of not, but I mean, entertainment is sort of slowly making its way back, and of course, it is super important for us to support everybody. So you definitely got to go check Mel out. What can we say other than thank you so much for your time? Thank you for being with us today. It is an absolute. Do you know what? And also, and I'm kind of happy because this is the only way I actually get to talk to you because you don't answer the phone when I phone you. Text. Come now. What's wrong?
I only speak to people who put me on the TV.
So it's really good talking to you.
Let's be honest. Don't throw shade. This is the only time you call me is when you need me for something. Don't come. You don't say, "Hey Mel, how you doing?" Right? You make us think I'm the bad person here. You don't find out how. Now you like want to come be like, "Oh, you know when I call you, you answer the phone." I'm always on the phone because you always want me for something. That's when you phone me.
But our phone.
Tick, tick,
Our
tick, tick.
phone. Our phone.
And I answer Google.
That's right. I think we can probably, because at the end of the show, we got one more comment here from Hubert, and he says, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant.
Thank you, Hubert. We love you too.
Listen, I got to be honest with you. Hubert always knows what he's talking about, and over the years that we've been doing this, Hubert's contributions are always amazing, and this is absolutely true, Mel. You are indeed one of those people we got to celebrate more as a country, and keep doing what you do. You inspire a generation. Remember that, and you provide us with so much joy. And it's I know how brilliant you are. People who have seen you, trust me, they always enjoy it because people always talk about one Mel Jones. So thanks for coming on. Thanks for making the time. Fingers crossed for everything you do, and thanks for being you.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me. I'll answer the phone next time.
Bye, Mel.
Cheers, Mel. Mel Jones, everybody. What can we say? An absolute gem when it comes to the South African entertainment industry. Absolute gem. And you definitely got to go check it out. So you go to our website and definitely, and we were serious. If you're a corporate or whatever, you need end of year function, and not just the end of year function, just
functions
any sort of gathering.
Exactly.
Get in touch with her because it's definitely going to be brilliant, and especially also Mel does a lot. Mel does a lot, and we're guilty of this because we sing praises of people who do a lot and people who do amazing things. You know, when it comes to lifting up the society and the community and really plowing back, and Mel ticks all those boxes. So I say we're guilty because we tell you these are cool things.
And I mean, even off air when we were chatting to her, the fact that she does motivational talking as well, I mean, I can just imagine, I'd love to go to one of those because I should probably be sitting there killing myself, but I can just imagine how she would bring a message. She is going to kill me laughing, and then I'll probably be the one sitting there in front listening to everything, and I can just imagine her in that room. I can imagine that energy will probably be so perfect. I mean, to be motivated, especially when you're feeling down or you want somebody to motivate you, I think Mel will do a brilliant job.
But you're right. I mean, we laugh about it. It is right. It is about changing. And Mel has always said this. You know, like a highlight or something. Somebody will say, you know, for that split second, you made me actually forget about my troubles and all of that.
Exactly.
And that is really what it is about. So what can we say? Today we celebrated a truly great performer, a great citizen, which is absolutely fantastic. Once again, thank you very much to Mel Jones for coming on to Mahala Monday. And thank you very much for all the questions and comments that you have sent our way as well. Thank you very much for all of that. It's always a pleasure having you here. And Rhoda, always a pleasure having you. Always a
pleasure being with you on show.
And I'm about to find out who is that comic as well. Until next time, for all of us here at Mahala Monday, cheers everybody, look after yourselves.
See you, bye.